Hello, everyone, and welcome back. My name is Jennifer Long, Machine Embroidery Manager at Riley Blake Designs, and today we are stitching together the cat hoop 10 in the Prim stitch along. It is going to be such a terrific fun stitch here. I have everything set and ready to go. I cannot wait to get started with you. So a couple things before we get started that you'll want to make sure you have ready is your label. So I like to have my label. You can find it right on your downloads on your USB. I also have page 36 and 37 ready to go of our instructions. I have the hoop that I'm going to be working on, which is the 6x10 stitchable area. I have my fused fabric PP as well as the tearaway cut to fit my hoop. I have my fabric piece H for hoop 10 here. I love to put all of my threads in order here. So I do have all of my threads. Here they are in order that I am using them. And I'm just going to push them back out of the way. So I have them all here. And I like to just go through the patterns so that everything's right at my fingertips. Because the first thread isn't till step 3, and these are placements and tack down stitches, I've already threaded my machine with thread number 8, but you can opt to have a matching thread here for your H. It's totally up to you. I have all my fabrics. I have my iron and my pressing mat here. Very important is I have my Cute Cuts Trim It ruler. So I have my Trim It ruler to the right size. You can find that on the bottom of every single block that you'll need, what Trim It ruler size you'll need. And I have a few extra tools here. I have the Riley Blake point turner here, the little bird. I have a pair of quilty hemostats to help me tear away stabilizer. Of course, I have my curved embroidery scissors, a seam ripper, and a few other things. So as long as your machine is set with the right settings here on the right hoop, we can begin. A couple other things that I want to like you just to note is that this is the block here, but the instructions are actually rotated because as you'll notice on your machine, this block is actually going to be stitching with this side as the top and this side as the bottom. So it's rotated in here, and that's just for best fit into most of the hoops so we can make the best use of your hoop stitchable area to get this block. Don't worry because we're going to trim it as we go. If you need to take a look here at this, knowing what a basting stitch is, placement stitch, tack down, you can head to the beginning of the pattern where we do have all of those spelled out and kind of explained how each of them go. But our instructions are quick and fast and easy and very icon friendly so that you can just quickly know what you're doing as you move through the patterns. I just love stitching with these. And we'll absolutely be ready to go. Let's get started. So the first thing we want to do is take our hoop, and you're going to separate the two pieces away from each other. Okay. And I'm going to do it on a flat surface. The reason I want to do it on a flat surface is just so that I have something to push against and the stabilizer doesn't get wonky at all. Then I'm going to put one layer of the heavy tearaway and I'm going to center it. Careful that you don't have a little bit off this way. It's okay if it's a little bit crooked, but try to get it as straight as you can. Next, you're going to take your background fabric that has already been fused and we are going to place it there. Now we're going to work to hoop this all as evenly as possible. I'm just trying to get all the little threads off. And we are going to trim this down, so it's okay if it's not completely straight, but try and get it as straight as you can. So before you push that hoop inset in there, you just want to kind of get it straight. And then all you need is the pressure on the hoop to get that completely inside. You don't need to pull on the fabric at all. In fact, please don't, because it will twist and stretch the grains of the fabric. So you just want to get it nice hooped and set, and then you can tighten up your hoop, lock it into place, and your hoop is ready to go. Next up is step one. I'm just going to move this a little closer to myself. So step one is the placement stitch. It is the cat. Yay, we get to start with the cat. And we are just going to put it into the hoop, into the machine and stitch out step one. Again, a couple of things is this thread color has no call out because it's going to be hidden with fabric or a cover stitch. So you can opt to have that first thread color or any thread color you want. And also just a reminder that this block is rotated 90 degrees. So you'll notice that the cat is on a turn. All right, let's put this inside of our machine. Let's get the hoop set up and stitch out step number one. Great, so this is our cat. Again, just notice that it is rotated. Next up is step two, which is the tack down stitch. But first we need to place our only fabric on this block here, which is fabric H. So I'm going to take this off and I'm going to move that out of the way. We'll just give ourselves a little bit more room here. And now we are going to place this fabric, center it over our cat. Now there isn't really a direction in this fabric, but you can just change if you have directional fabric or how you're doing it. Just know that this is the top and the bottom of the cat. And so I'm going to place it over, and then I'm just going to do a little test and make sure. Actually, I think I'm going to do it this way. This is the way I want to do it. Yes, there we go. That's a good thing I'm testing. Make sure that I'm 1/2 inch away in all of the spots from the cat. And I also just want to see if I want a fussy kit. I can feel where this is happening, and I just want to kind of just take a look and make sure everything is aligned. You can washi tape this here or just press it really flat here and go ahead and stitch out step number two. Again, if the thread color is important to you, you can change it, but we are going to have a beautiful cover stitch coming up at some point over this cat. All right, let's get started. So you will notice here that our tack down stitch at Riley Blake Designs, we do two very close together stitches. And this gives you a little bit of extra security. So when you are trimming, if you accidentally trim this first stitch, you have that second one there to hold all of your fabric down. So we're going to take it over back to the table and we're going to trim this up. All right, so I really advocate for trimming your applique flat on your table for a couple of reasons. Number one, you don't want to accidentally cut through your backing if you're doing it inside your machine. And second of all, it allows you to rotate everything as you are trimming, so it gives you the closest and the most ergonomic trimming. And then thirdly is you do have like the most control over the fabric and without the machine being in your way. So for all of those reasons, I always pull my my machine embroidery applique outside of the machine to do the trimming. I also really like to line it up. I'm going to start at this curved edge of this tail, and I like to keep my hand as close in this position as possible, which gets me to be as close as I can so I'm not in any kind of a awkward position. I'm going to grab a hold of the fabric and then just doing tiny little stitches, lowering that bottom of the scissors, that curved edge right along the bottom fabric and letting the tips just come as close as they can to your first stitch line. You can cut it all the way off and go it all the way through if you want. Now around the legs, you're probably going to need to do some rotating and rotating, which is totally fine. And it will be very worth it when you see how cute these are and they get covered up together. So just use the points of the scissors to get in the tiny spots. Again, don't be afraid to rotate as many times as you need. You can even come in here again and just do a little retrim. Wonderful. And rotate around. And going all the way around, repeating this throughout the whole design. Right, and doing the last part here around the tail. Again, just taking your time and rotating as necessary to go around the whole cute little cat. So that is a lot of rotating, but you can see that it's quite worth it. It's the star of this block. Now I'm just going to take the curved part of my applique scissors and just any spot that looks like I didn't get it as close, or sometimes there's a little couple other threads hanging there, just take a moment and trim those away. You'll be grateful that you did when you go to the applique steps so that we don't have any threads poking out. Good. And just take a little extra trim and you can just brush it away. Good. Beautiful. All right. And there we have it, an adorable applique little cat. Next up here on our instructions is a fill stitch. So this is using thread number 8, which I already have loaded into my machine. So if you don't yet, this is the time to put it in. And we are going to go stitch the stems and the leaves for those sunflowers. Now you'll notice that there's some running happening through the stitching, and that's totally fine. That's going to be covered up, so not to worry about it. And just take a moment to watch as you are stitching this out, the beautiful texture and cover that's happening inside the leaves. It's mimicking one of Lori Holt's fabrics here, and it's just really adds to the depth of this project. All right, let's begin. Wow, is this block ever coming together quickly, isn't it? So as I've said before, if you've been watching our video series, is I turn my trim off on my jump stitches just in case your machine you can't, and I just want to show you when and where you need to trim. So here, this is where I'm doing it right here, and then I always like to give a reminder to trim the back as well. And I always take an extra little time if there's any other threads that are a little bit longer there to keep the back of my design nice and tidy and clean, so nothing gets caught or brought up. Excellent. Okay, so the next thing we're doing is moving on to step number 4 with thread number 20. So this is the petals on the sunflowers, and they are really going to come to life. As you can see on these leaves, they are such a beautiful texture and design, and I can't wait to see what the design is going to be on the step number 4 on the petals. I just feel like each time we stitch here together, it kind of brings to life, and really the thread and the machine becomes the star of putting this block together. It's really quite exciting, and I can't wait to see it. So switch to thread number 20 for a fill stitch on step number 4. All right, take a look at those beautiful designs. It's really just like shimmering in this thread color especially. It's so gorgeous. You can leave it in your machine if your jump stitches are trimmed, but if you don't, this is where you go ahead and trim them. You'll also notice that there's a running stitch under the little bird. And I'm going to take this opportunity to just make sure everything is trimmed well around my cat, especially when it kind of goes on a bias like this. Sometimes the threads just want to release a little bit more, and just make sure that they're all out of the way because yep, if we move to the next step, that is going to be the cover stitch on this cat. And so I just want to make sure that everything's nicely tidied up and cleaned up before we really do that gorgeous cover stitch on the main part of our block, which is the cat. Okay, so moving on to step 5 is the cover stitch around the cat. You'll notice that the little bird's feet are going to go underneath the fur on the cat on the edge, so that's just adorable, kind of kind of hilarious that there's a bird sitting on the cat. I absolutely love, love, love it. And now we are going to take this thread number 3 and stitch out step number 5. So go ahead and change your thread. Well, wasn't that stitch worth the time? Look how luxurious and beautiful it is. And look how well it did coverage on all of those curved areas on that applique. That is absolutely stunning. I hope you're loving yours as well. Next up, we get to stitch out the bluebird. I need to put this here. We get to stitch out the bluebird. It's a fill stitch. It is actually mimicking one of these fabrics directly, and we are going to stitch out thread number 18 on step number 6. It is a fill stitch. So let's switch that out and see what this bird brings to our design. All right, wow, that's added a real burst of color on top of our cat, and I just love the texture that it's providing. Next up is step number 7. This is a darker thread color. It's thread 12, and it's going for a couple of things. So it's going for the tops of our sunflowers, or the center of our sunflowers, and the eyes and whiskers of the bird and cat. So just if your tension is a little off today on your machine, you can always wind your bobbin with a similar color, especially on a dark thread like this, and switch it ahead of time. Otherwise, if your thread tension is going good and you're using the stabilizers suggested, then you should have no problem. And we're just going to go ahead and switch this thread color to thread number 12 on step number 7. All right, so if you have your jump stitch trimmer on, you can leave your embroidery design in your machine, or you can take this opportunity to come out and clean up any back threads as well. If you don't have that turned off, or your machine isn't capable, we'll trim it right now. But I also just want to take this opportunity to just really enjoy all of that stitching that has happened already. It is so beautiful, and you're doing a great job. So I'm just going to take a hold of the threads, and I just want to pull on both sides to get as close as I can. I just kind of lift the thread under with my scissors and get as tight as I can, and trim in all of the spots. Oh, look at this cute face. Oh my goodness. So cute. All right, and I'm going to do the same thing on the back and trim everything up. I hope you're having a great day stitching out the Prim blocks in the stitch along. And I just want to remind you, if you want to go back and stitch anything else, we have a whole video series for this stitch along, and even a getting ready video that you can welcome to watch at any time now or in the future. And we also have that Facebook group where you can come along and share everything. I'll talk more about it at the end. Okay, moving on to step 8 is our fill stitch with number 7. These are going to be our accent leaves that are happening here in just a slight green. I love how that there's like depth inside of this design, so everything's not all in the same green. We really get some depth with the shading and with the different fill textures that are happening to mimic the fabrics. So switching to thread number 7 for step number 8. Really coming together. So beautiful. You can see how it's a different design inside there as well as color. So it's really giving that depth look that we're after. Isn't that just stunning how it comes together? Okay, again, if you need to trim, this is your reminder to do so. It's really important to trim between every stitch if you don't if your machine isn't doing it for you, just because that way it won't get accidentally caught underneath another color, and it just has like a cleaner ability and look. All right, moving on to step 9, we're going right along. We get to put the bird's wing on here. So same idea that's happening here with both a different fill and a different tone of the same color family. That's what's happening with the wing. That's really going to give depth to this bird with our thread number 10 on our step number 9. Okay, no need to pull it out of your machine now. We're going to move right on to step 10, just switching your thread color out for thread 17. This is the heart on the cat's tummy. Lori does such a beautiful job of designing dimensionally as well as really bringing life to everything, and this heart will be no exception. So step number 10 with thread number 17. The last color change is step number 11 with thread number 11. So as if you've been stitching the whole Prim stitch along with us, you'll notice that there's been a version of a sawtooth star in every single block. It really makes the whole quilt feel cohesive, and each block really have a tie together. And this one is going to be done in thread number 11 for step number 11. So let's stitch out this last thread switch step. Okay, I think we should take it out at this point and just enjoy what we have stitched together so far. It is such a beautiful cat block, and we've done it in hoop 10 now. So the very last step that we have, you can opt to change your thread color. I'm actually going to leave it in because red is going to be a really nice color to see our crosshairs. This is a very important step. Don't worry, it won't ruin your design. It is a great big basting stitch. The only thing I would suggest is if you want a darker bobbin thread so you can see it on the back when you pull it out, this would be your time to change it. If not, we're just going to put the hoop back in, stitch out number 12, and get this block prepped for, like all of the others, for our setting. I really love that crosshair in the red. You very easily can see exactly where it is. And now let's pull this out and get started on our finishing steps. All right, here we have it. So the block, all of the stitching steps are complete. We're going to move on to page 37 here, the last page where it says cat continued, and we are going to follow the 5 steps to get our block prepped and ready to go. Step number 1 is remove the block from your embroidery hoop. So all you're going to do is just release the hoop. I'm going to set the hoop aside, and I'm just going to relax the fabric here. Okay, next is carefully tear the stabilizer away. So that is the operative word here, is carefully. Again, I like to do this on a flat surface, and I use both hands to help stabilize the design and to tear away. So I'm going to get a tear away started. Again, the stabilizer that's fused, you just leave it there. And I'm going to use my hand just to help stabilize the stitches as I tear along. Just take it one little bit at a time and just work along as you go. You don't need to worry right now about getting into these tiny spots. just come around on your design and tear it away. So anything that's in a long, narrow spot like this, I like to use these quilty hemostats for it. It has a blunt edge, and I feel like I have a lot of control with them. I can just simply slide it underneath and then just give it a pull, and it just comes out super easy. So you can do that anywhere where there's like a little tiny spots and you just need to get yourself in there. And we're going to do that again in any of these little spots. Once you feel like you've pulled everything out that you can with these, I like to move over to my point turner, and this really helps me. This point is sharp, but also blunt enough that it's not going to tear the fabric. I just simply slide it underneath, and it pulls away really easily and nicely. So work out what you can, and then send the rest away. I'm going to take a second here and just, you can see there's a couple of threads that are a little long. I just want to trim them so that they don't show through my design, but also so that they're just not in the way. Excellent. Next step is to place this block face down. So here's this beautiful block. Place it face down over a Jill Lily Studio pressing pad and gently press it with your warm iron. So here I have my pressing pad and I have the Jill Lily pressing pad on top and an iron, and I'm going to put it face down. The reason why we put it face down on something so soft like this is so that all of the texture and depth in those stitches really just holds and maintains without it being squashed or without the sheen coming away from the thread. So that's why I like to do it on the back of my design. So again, don't pull with your iron, but just up and down, gently press throughout the whole design as desired. All right, when you're satisfied how it's pressed, you can remove it from there. I'll just move this out of the way. Over here. And next up, we get to work with these crosshairs. I love that it's in red. I can see it so well. And I'm going to take my trim it ruler. Now, just a reminder, I say this every time because I really feel it's important to check your trim it size. There will come a time when every block won't be the same trim it ruler size. And even in this quilt, as we do some of the other blocks around the edges, they are a different size. So you want to find the right trim it ruler. I am doing the 6x10 size, so I'm going to use a 6.5 by 6.5 trim it ruler. But sometimes for the 8x12, you might need the 8.5 by 8.5, or the 9x14, you'll need the 10.5 by 10.5. And you can just always check here, it says cat block trim size. So it has these great lines all over. I'm just going to show you again here. It has these crosshair block lines right here, as well as a great seam allowance. And we're going to use both of those to get the most accurate trimming that we can on this design. So I'm going to line up with my crosshairs this line going up and down vertically and horizontally. That means it won't be rotated and it will be completely aligned. The next, before I even reach for my rotary cutter, I'm just going to come around and look at the seam allowance, make sure that there's no part of my design in it, and also just make sure that everything looks correct and aligned and nothing is folded. Then I'm going to grab my rotary cutter and I'm going to cut along two sides here and here, and I'm going to rotate the block around and repeat. Now, if you have to move your ruler like this, then I just want to make sure that you do a line up again and you check twice and cut once. So you're going to do check, check, and I have two more sides to check here. And those are the sides that I am going to cut and cut away for the great big reveal. Here we go. So adorable. So that is our cute little block, but before we are done, we need to remove this basting stitch that's happening right through the center. The easiest way to do that is to grab a seam ripper and take those stitches from the back of the design. They are great big basting stitches. So if you grab every other one or every third one and just cut it with your seam ripper, you're going to see how easily it pulls apart when you come on over to the front of the design. And this way you have no chance of catching your stitches. Once I've cut quite a few of those, I'll just gently grab this thread and you can see how easily it just pulls up from the design. Then I'm going to just take an extra moment here, not pull anything, and just go nice and easy and make sure everything's coming out. And then the bobbin thread comes out as well from the design. Good, there's a little bit left here to pull out. Oh my goodness, he's so adorable. And the last thing that I would like to suggest before you put your block away is that you take your label again. Yes, we know this is a cat block, but this is a really good workflow habit to get into, to always label your blocks. We do provide them block labels for this exact reason, because when we get to setting, it's going to be great to know exactly which block goes where. So here you have it here presenting our cat block for block 10 of the Prim Stitch Along. As always, I would like to do a little celebration with you as we just go through and look at and enjoy all of the blocks that we have stitched so far in the Prim Stitch Along. So let's take a moment and just see how far we have come together in this stitch along. I'm just going to lay them all out here so we can take a moment and enjoy them. And while we're doing that, just a little reminder of a few things. We'd love to see your progress over at the Facebook group. So there is a RBD and M.E, RBD and Machine Embroidery Facebook group where we are stitching along the Prim Stitch Along quilt together. You can also share it on social media, and also do make sure you follow our Instagram handle for Riley Blake Designs Machine Embroidery that is specific to machine embroidery at Riley Blake Designs. It's called RBD and Me. Again, my name's Jennifer Long from Riley Blake Designs. I manage the machine embroidery department, and I am so honored to be stitching this Prim Stitch Along with you, designed by Lori Holt of Be in My Bonnet. Thanks for being here, and I will see you again for our next block.